I think this film is going to be pretty divisive for horror audiences. Hi, I'm Elena. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I talk about all things media, movies, books. I like to journal about them, video games, all of the things. So thank you for stopping by. Today, I want to talk about Backrooms, specifically Backrooms, the movie. I just saw it yesterday. I was very, very excited. Highly anticipated movie for me. I want to preface this by saying I am not someone that was like a fan of the Backrooms lore and the subreddit and all of the things. I am vaguely familiar and I have played the like Backrooms game like years ago and only for like 25 minutes. I didn't like get a full playthrough. I just kind of dropped in with some friends, and that is the extent of my knowledge of Backrooms and its lore. I kind of went in with a undiluted idea of what this is going to be. I just wanted to let the film be what the film is, and I was particularly excited about it being by a young director and someone coming from YouTube. We're seeing this a lot, and that's a separate discourse about whether or not it's deserved, and I'll get into that later. Let's start by talking about some of the lore of the film, which a lot of you may know. The idea of the movie is that a therapist is meeting with the owner / manager of this discount furniture store, and he goes missing. He comes to her one day and says, "I found these rooms. Here's a map." She doesn't really believe him, and he goes missing. She goes to find him and thus discovers the Backrooms herself. I don't want to give away the rest of the film because it's sort of an interesting plot. I will save a spoiler section for later if you would like to discuss it with me. Overall, my initial thought coming out of the movie was, oh, this was very creepy. It was very interesting. I thought the pacing was overall well done. I think that's a hard thing to do as a filmmaker. So as somebody 20 years old, I felt like it was phenomenal direction from him. I ended up giving it initially a 3.75 stars on my first walkout of the theater. I thought it's really good. I know it's not going to be for everyone, and I had a good time, but there was something a little bit lacking for me. Then I went home and I marinated on it, and there are some themes in the film that I think some people may not pick up on, and it's gonna leave people feeling like, well, this isn't what I was promised. This isn't what I thought this was going to be. And I can see why audiences won't like it. This is for a very specific subset of horror lovers. And if you don't like this kind of film, you are going to walk out of this feeling quite disappointed. I think what Kane Parsons has developed is such a unique IP that we have to get behind. Now, I know liminal spaces are not a unique concept, but this lore of the Backrooms and this evolution of this YouTube series and this Reddit thread, it's incredible that it's made it to the big stage, and we have to give props for that. And I couldn't be more excited about the hands that horror is in. We've got Curry Barker, we've got Kane Parsons, we have so many phenomenal people coming up, and it's just been so nice to see horror lately. Weapons, Talk to Me, Obsession, now Backrooms. I think we're just living in such an age. Things are really developing for horror fans, and we need to be so grateful right now. I want to talk about how weird this movie is. So it's not scary. There are a couple of moments that I was like, oh, whoa, that's creepy. That gets under my skin. And I liked that. But what I find is that this is just such a weird little film. It's such a weird film. And I've seen some people compare it to being very Lynchian. And I don't think they're wrong. I think if you like that kind of style, you're going to be really, really into this. I walked away now having thought about a lot of the themes, giving it 4 stars. And I feel satisfied with that. Unfortunately, I don't want to compare it to Obsession, but a lot of people are going to because they've come out so close together. They are two vastly different films and two vastly different subgenres, in my opinion. But I think I gave Obsession 4.5 stars and I gave this 4 stars, and I feel comfortable with that. I think Obsession is a better film in various ways, but I think what Kane Parsons has done should be so celebrated. Get your ass in the movie theater and support original horror IP. That's my biggest takeaway from this. Now, let's get into this discussion about, well, Kane Parsons could not have possibly directed this at 20 years old. I'm so sick of that rhetoric online. If you're one of those people doing that, we don't vibe. I'm not with you on that. I think we have to stop treating young people like they are incapable of achieving these great milestones at such a young age, as if there haven't been other directors who have done phenomenal films at a young age. Paul Thomas Anderson being one that comes to mind immediately. And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop taking away success from young people. I've said this multiple times, and I don't want to get political, but there's a lot of crossover in this conversation about how young leaders in whatever space they're in often do things better because they're coming into the space with a fresh mind. And obviously, A24 did not hire Kane Parsons to faux direct this film and have someone standing behind him actually directing it. Number one, it would be so easy to prove that. Any actor or sound person or anyone on the set could have come out and said, yeah, well, he kind of didn't actually direct it. It would be so easy to prove. And also, why are you trying to take away this young person's stardom and success? It's so odd to me, and I'm so over the discussion of that. It's okay for him to have a successful movie. Now, I'm going to get into a little bit of spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, save this, come back. I want to talk about it. And if you are ready to dive in, let's go. Again, I didn't know the lore, so that's number one. And if any of this is lore that you knew about and you figured was coming, awesome. I had no idea. When the cameraman falls down that hole that they have drug him into in the back rooms, and he is looking at all of these piles of clothes and it's dark and whatever, there's a woman's head, and I assume this person is alive or it's a monster of some kind, peeking out of the pile of clothing. And my husband actually pointed it out to me, and I thought I was going to shit myself. It was so well done. I love eerie and I love background horror like that. One of my favorite horror films is The Strangers, and the people in the background of the film that there's no scary music, there's no jump scare, there's nothing. It's just them in the background. I love that shit. And that was really well done. I wish we had seen more of that. I really do. And then it gets fucking insane. You know the scene. He gets sucked up into behind the mirror, and he's obviously dead, and there's blood everywhere, and that was great. I loved that. I wanted more from that, and I think a lot of people that don't like the film are going to complain about that. They wanted to spend more time with the monsters in the back rooms. That being said, I liked the psychological take that this took when we get towards the end of the film and the therapist and her patient are sitting across from each other, and he is going through this emotional breakdown in front of us, and she's fucking terrified. And I could feel that in the theater. It felt very tense. We didn't know what was going to happen. I really enjoyed that. And then that giant ass puppet thing comes around the corner, and it's obviously him dressed as the mascot of the furniture store that he manages. And I think the psychological element of that being a manifestation of the fact that he refused to change himself in order to better himself. He would never take accountability. And this is this horrible, ugly manifestation of all of that, all of the consequence of that coming to fruition. Yeah, I did like that. I did. And those are the types of elements that made me say, no, this is deeper than just a Backrooms movie. And that's why I bumped it up to 4 stars. I really, really like that. And also that puppet thing is, ooh, he's spooky. I'm not scared of things like that. I'm not scared of mascots, but that was really, I was like, ooh, this is very unnerving. And again, that's another piece of the film that I think some people are just going to laugh at and be like, what the fuck is this? I hope this film sees so much success in opening weekend. Horror fans are really coming out in droves to support, and I'm so happy to see that. If we don't support things like this, if we don't support, if we don't support original IP, if we don't support these films in the theater, they're not going to get made. Studios are not going to give them a shot. Luckily, I think A24 is happy to give money to experimental directors. I think we keep seeing that over and over again with them, but other studios are not. And so we need to keep pushing for things like this. My overall final thoughts. I ended up giving this 4 stars after really ruminating on everything, and I'm very happy with that. I hope that people go see this. I hope that people support this. And I think we're in a really wonderful new age of horror, and we have to keep supporting it as horror fans if we want these things to keep being made. So I highly recommend you go see it. Please see it in the theaters. It's a great experience, all in the dark. If you can see it in a less crowded theater, I think that that's a great option. If you've seen the movie, definitely get into my comments. Let's talk about it. I'm so excited to have seen it. I cannot wait to get into all of the online communities and talk about this film and dissect it with people. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate you taking the time to just listen to me yap about all of my favorite things, and I'll see you in the next one.